The distress signal tore through the diplomatic quarters at 0300 hours, and Mira was awake instantly. Years of military training had taught her that nothing good ever happened at 3 in the morning, especially not on an alien station suspended in the void between star systems. Human Mira. The translator struggled with Varric's clicking, guttural language, rendering his panic in flat, mechanical tones that did nothing to disguise the terror beneath. My offspring, they are gone. Mira grabbed her jacket and rushed into the corridor, nearly colliding with the towering form of Varric. The Krell warrior stood nearly 8 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the station's harsh lighting. 4 arms gestured frantically, his mandibles clicking in distress. To most humans, the Krell were the stuff of nightmares, apex predators who had conquered a dozen worlds before humanity had even discovered fire. But Mira had spent 6 months as the human liaison aboard the Talon's Edge, and she'd learned to read Krell body language better than most. Right now, Varric wasn't a fearsome warrior. He was a terrified father. "How long have they been missing?" she asked, already moving toward the family quarters. 20 minutes. I checked on them. Routine check, and their sleeping chambers were empty. The door was sealed from the inside. His secondary arms trembled, a sign of profound distress. On Krell Prime, cubs who wander at night. They do not survive, Mira understood. The Krell homeworld was a death trap after dark, filled with creatures that made the Krell themselves look tame. Instinct ran deep. "This isn't Krell Prime," she said firmly. "The station is secure. We'll find them." She initiated a priority search but kept her handheld scanner discreet. No need to alert the entire station and cause a panic. The Krell cubs, Varric's twins, barely 3 months old by Krell reckoning, were small enough to slip through maintenance ducts, but too young to understand danger. They searched for 45 minutes. Varric's distress grew with each passing moment, his predatory instincts warring with his parental fear. Other Krell joined the search, their clicking communication filling the corridors with urgent intensity. Mira noticed several giving her suspicious glances. She understood why. In Krell culture, other species were either prey or potential threats. The idea that a human, soft, weak, supposedly fragile, could help find Krell cubs was laughable to them. Even after months of diplomatic progress, old prejudices died hard. "Human," one of the Krell warriors chittered, his tone dismissive. "You should rest. This is not your concern." "Everything on this station is my concern," Mira replied coolly, "and I'm not stopping until we find them." She had an idea, one born from watching Varric's cubs during the rare moments he'd allowed her near them. Krell cubs were curious, far more than adult Krell ever admitted. And there was one place on the station that fascinated them, a place Varric had specifically forbidden them to approach. The human quarters. Mira's heart raced as she approached her own door. It was sealed, just as she'd left it, but her scanner picked up faint thermal signatures inside, 2 small ones. She entered her access code and the door slid open with a soft hiss. The sight that greeted her would have made her laugh if the situation weren't so serious. There, on her bed, curled around her spare thermal blanket, were 2 small Krell cubs. Their miniature exoskeletons gleamed dully in the low light, their small mandibles moving slowly in sleep. They'd burrowed into the soft human bedding like it was the most natural thing in the world, their tiny claws gripping the fabric. Between them, impossibly, was Mr. Whiskers, her contraband cat, smuggled aboard in violation of about 17 regulations. The orange tabby was purring contentedly, one paw draped over the smaller cub's carapace. Mira activated her communicator. "Varric, I found them. They're in my quarters. They're safe." The response was immediate, rapid clicking and the sound of heavy footsteps. 30 seconds later, Varric burst through the door, followed by half a dozen Krell warriors. They stopped dead at the threshold, their compound eyes struggling to process the scene. "Impossible," one warrior breathed. Varric moved forward slowly, his massive frame suddenly gentle. He reached down and both cubs stirred, their small voices chirping in greeting. They showed no fear, no urgency. In fact, they seemed annoyed at being disturbed. "How?" Varric turned to Mira, genuine confusion in his translated voice. "Our cubs do not trust outsiders. They do not sleep near other species. It is instinct." Mira knelt beside the bed, carefully stroking Mr. Whiskers, who purred louder. "Maybe human things aren't as scary as you thought. Maybe they just wanted something soft, something warm." One of the cubs reached out a tiny claw and touched her hand. The gesture was impossibly gentle for a species known for their ferocity. Varek's mandibles opened and closed silently, the Krell equivalent of shock. On Krell Prime, Varek said quietly, if cubs wander to another clan's territory, they are killed. It is the way. But they came here to you and they felt safe, Mira finished. She looked up at the assembled Krell warriors, seeing their worldview shifting in real time. Maybe that's what makes humans different. We don't see any cubs, as threats. We see them as something to protect. Varek carefully gathered his offspring, but he paused at the door. You could have harmed them. You had them alone, vulnerable. Why didn't you? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Mira met his compound gaze steadily. Because that's not what humans do. We protect the vulnerable, even when they're not our own, especially when they're not our own. Something shifted in Varek's posture, a subtle relaxation, an acknowledgement. He bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect among Krell warriors. I understand now, he said, why your species survives. You do not have our strength, our armor, our weapons, but you have something else, something we are only beginning to understand. After they left, Mira sat on her bed, Mr. Whiskers purring in her lap. Her communicator chimed with a message from the station commander. Diplomatic relations with the Krell had just advanced by decades. Varek had requested human advisors for Krell childcare centers. Other Krell families wanted to understand this strange human capacity for cross-species empathy. Humanity hadn't conquered the stars through strength or technology alone. They'd done it by making even the galaxy's most fearsome predators feel safe enough to let their cubs sleep beside them. And sometimes, that was the most powerful weapon of all.